What is up? We are a few hours away from the 49ers Week 5 matchup with the Panthers, a game that they are heavily favored in and should win. Keep it locked. We are going to talk about what we need to see out of the team moving forward. What is up, fam? Thank you so much for tuning in to So Real Sports Talk TV on this beautiful Sunday morning. My name is Sunil, So Real Sunil for those of you on social media. I am your host, and it is week 5, baby. Shout out to Raphael5629ers. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is week 5. The 49ers are in first place in the NFC West. If the playoffs started today, they would be in the playoffs. So it's a wonderful day to be a 49er fan. We do have a lot to talk about because we have a game upcoming in just a few hours. Kickoff should be in about 3-4 hours and some change. But it is against the Panthers, a team that is struggling. The 49ers should come out with a W, but there are some things that we do need to look at. First off, the 49ers don't always dominate games they should dominate, right? I believe this season there were 2 games that the 49ers should have been hands down come out with W's, and they are 1-1 in those games, one against the Bears, one against Seattle. So this is a game, even though on paper, the Panthers don't really have anything for the 49ers, it is still a game that the 49ers do need to execute on and need to make sure that they come out with the W to keep the momentum going. But there are some things that I do want to learn from this team moving forward, because the ultimate goal isn't beating the Panthers. The ultimate goal is obviously continuing to grow week after week to become a team by the end of this year, coming back with the 6th championship for the 49ers organization. And that's what we're going to talk about moving forward. So the first thing that I do need to see from this team is offensive consistency. And this is a big one, guys. One of my biggest narratives going through the season and the offseason over the last few years is I can tell you whether this team is going to win hands down or struggle to win or even lose based off of the offensive performance in the first half. And what I mean by that is this team is drastically different when they could score in the first half versus when they can't score in the first half. And let's just talk about stats from this year. In the 2 losses that the 49ers have had, they've scored an average of 7 points in the first half. In the 2 wins that they've had, they've averaged 17 points in the first half. Now, obviously, that sounds like a pretty basic stat, but let's put that into perspective why that's so important. I see a comment right here by Raphael. Number 1 defense versus the number 32 offense. And that is actually correct. But the thing that is a tough pill to swallow is, yes, the 49ers defense is ranked number 1. Carolina Panthers defense is ranked number 32. Guess where the 49ers offense ranks? 28. So just like the bottom tier offenses, unfortunately, the 49ers are a bottom tier offense in the overall scheme of things when you go to just their rankings and things of that nature. But we do know that this team has the potential to be much better with the talent in guys like Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, and so on, and also the play calling of Kyle Shanahan. So what offense are we going to see? The number one thing, like I talked about, is first half scoring. Why is that so important to this team specifically? Is because of that number one ranked defense. What is the strength of this defense? It is their pass rush, and now, surprisingly, it is their secondary, right? So if we can get a team to be one-dimensional and have to rely on their passing game to be able to contend with the 49ers because they've been able to create a lead, that is where this team becomes far and away one of the toughest teams in the NFL, because this defense will eat if you give it the chance. And the more chances that a quarterback has to drop back to make a pass, the more chances a guy like Bosa has to add to his already league-leading sack number. The more chance Talanoa Hufanga has to be able to turn that ball over with a pick six or just an interception overall. The more chance that the secondary has to show their dominance over receivers and their lockdown prowess. So that is a very, very important aspect of this game, is the 49ers. Are we going to see this consistency out of this 49ers offense, particularly their ability to score in the first half? Another thing that I want to see out of this offense is what type of running game are we going to get? On average, the 49ers are averaging around 4.4 yards per carry throughout the season. Last week, even in a victory, they only averaged 4.1 yards per carry. The Panthers defense right now is allowing 4.1 yards per carry to their rushing, to the opposing rushing offenses. And the number that I really want to see, the sweet spot, the number that allows me to believe that the 49ers are rushing attack is where it needs to be, is that number 4.5 yards per carry, right? So can the 49ers average 4.5 yards carry or more? This is a defense that is struggling. Even though their average is 4.1 yards, there has been games where they've been able to give up more than that. Can Jeff Wilson Jr. and the rest of the running back stable continuously churn those yards? Right now, we've seen Jeff Wilson have, an explosive play for 30-plus yards and things like that. But then we haven't really seen him be effective after that. So can we see consistency out of this rushing attack? It might not be as important against a defense like the Panthers, which are struggling. However, we aren't looking for just one-off wins. We're looking for consistency. We're looking for characteristics of a team that is going to make a deep playoff run and eventually, be able to contend and even win a Super Bowl. So these are some things that I do want to see. Are we going to see good Jimmy G or bad Jimmy G? Jimmy Garoppolo obviously has the capability of playing a effective style of quarterback, and we saw that last week in his ability to pass the ball, get the ball out of his hand quick. He had a clean sheet, right? Didn't get sacked, no interceptions. Can we continue to see that? Now, obviously, against defenses that are better, you would expect maybe more sacks, more interceptions. But against a 31st ranked defense in the Panthers, can Jimmy once again put up a clean sheet, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions, and dominate defenses that he should dominate, right? I don't expect Jimmy to be throwing the ball down the field like a Allen or a Mahomes, but I do want to see him give the offensive line some help with his quick release, be accurate with the ball, and give receivers the chance to get those yards after the catch, right? Throw the timing runs, giving them the opportunity to be able to turn a short play into an explosive play. Those are the types of things I want to see when we're talking about consistency out of the offense, right? Can Jimmy give this offense the ability or the opportunity to manufacture yards? So that's the first thing. Harold Murillo, good morning to you, my friend, as well. We got to see consistency in the offense. right? We just reiterated in games that they're winning, they're averaging 17 points in the first half. Games that they're losing, they're averaging 7 points in the first half. So are we going to see an explosive first half where the 49ers are scoring 14 plus points? Or are we going to see a struggling first half where they're scoring a touchdown or less in the first half? Definitely a key thing to see, because we've seen that affect whether or not the team is going to be victorious in a game. Second thing that I definitely need to see is the turnover battle. Once again, this is a key point that has been a key indicator in whether or not the 49ers are going to be victorious or are they going to come back in a loss. In the games that they have lost, the 49ers in the turnover battle have been -2. In the games that they have won, they have been plus 2.5. So that is a big difference in whether or not the 49ers are going to be competitive, come out with a victory, or suffer a very frustrating loss. Once again, this is a team that the 49ers should beat based off of everything, based off of talent, based off of rankings and record and who they have on paper. We've been in these situations. The 49ers this season alone are 1-1, right? So they should have beat Chicago. They should have beat Seattle. They only came out with one victory out of those games. Is this going to be a game where the 49ers not only should win, but win far and away? The turnover battle is going to be extremely important in that. We got a quote from Frank Solidivar. Sorry if I butchered that last name, Frank, but thank you for joining in. Jimmy's style is from the shotgun, as he is a natural gunslinger type, but Jimmy can only run the plays Shanahan dictates. No audibles. Kyle is an OCD head coach in concerns to exact execution of his game plan. Frank, thank you for that comment, and that is interesting because I don't know if I fully agree with that statement that Jimmy is a natural gunslinger. Jimmy has been successful in both of the organizations that he's played with, but both of those organizations did keep him on a rope, right? Even in New England with Josh McDaniels, they didn't necessarily, quote unquote, let Jimmy cook. It was very system based, very much the quick throws, accurate throws, not really giving him the opportunity to throw down the field. You know, he has had, you know, the numbers as far as quote unquote, as far as down the ball efficiency. But I would argue that the reason why Jimmy has had success throwing the ball downfield is more because of the, to use your term, OCD head coaching style of Kyle Shanahan, where his ability to scheme receivers wide open gives Jimmy the ability to be more effective down the field, because instead of a very difficult ball where he has to just drop it in a bucket over coverage and things of that nature, he's actually gotten the opportunity to throw the ball down deep to wide open receivers or receivers that have given a lot of space, where even if the throw isn't extremely accurate, it's still ability to be a completion, because the I guess the degree of difficulty isn't that much. So I would actually be worried about Jimmy just getting a blank check per se, and having full carte blanche in the offense to do whatever he feels like he needs to do, because we have seen Jimmy struggle when it comes to if he has to throw the ball a lot, right? He tends to make some good decisions, definitely, but he also tends to make some bad decisions in opportune moments, and we don't want to, I guess, put the defense in a position where they're constantly having to bail out the offense more than they already have to do, you know, being a defense for this 28th ranked offense, right? So, but it's a good point. I mean, definitely, you know, if you believe that, that would be great. First 15 plays are scripted. The team always looks sharp, as they do not have to think. After that, Kyle and the team struggle. Kyle seems to lack spontaneous game on the line play calling. And, you know, that is hard to argue against, because definitely the team seems to move the ball better in those scripted plays. And then later on, especially second half, it's shown some weaknesses to be able to score when maybe the offense or the opposing team's defense maybe understands what the team is doing. Once again, based off of what I've seen and what I've done research from the all 22s, from people breaking the all 22s down and things of that nature, I do think that Kyle Shanahan has some criticism that is fair as far as certain things when it comes to this offense. However, there has been a big component of lack of execution on plays that should work based off of players being schemed wide open, and the ball not getting to them either on time at all, because Jimmy didn't even look that way, or the ball didn't get to them because it was a bad throw. So not saying that it's all Jimmy's fault. Obviously, the buck ends with Kyle Shanahan. So definitely fair criticism on Kyle Shanahan, Frank, but that is something that we do need to see. We mentioned it early in the show. Consistency in this offense. The offense is, one of the weaker links, being ranked 28th. Luckily, the defense is ranked number 1, which is why the 49ers are still in first place. But going back to the second point, the turnover battle, we need to be able to see this. And this is something that's going to be based off of, all phases of the game, not just the offense, and making sure that they're not giving up the ball through either interceptions or fumbles, making sure that they have good ball security, but also the defense taking opportunities or being opportunistic when those are given to them. I do believe that this is going to be a chance where it's going to be a tough game for Baker Mayfield. We know that Nick Bosa probably enjoys sacking Baker Mayfield more than any other quarterback in the NFL. So he's going to be in their backfield early and often. So this is going to give the 49ers a great opportunity to be opportunistic, because I think Baker's not going to have as much time, with the offensive line that they have and the defensive line that the 49ers have. So can the 49ers turn the Panthers over? Like I said, we've seen in the 2 wins that the 49ers have had, they are +2 when it comes to the turnover battle. In the games that they lose, they are -2 in the turnover battle. So we definitely want to be +2.5 and above to get that victory. Are we going to be able to see that? This is a game where they should definitely be much better on both sides of the ball than the team that they're playing against. So can they be opportunistic and take advantage of playing a team that shouldn't be on their same level? And the last thing I wanted to discuss, and the thing that I need to see, is something that I think is being not talked about enough, and that is the special teams, right? So the one of the biggest concerted efforts of this 49ers offseason was upgrading the special teams. And one thing that was told to us is, the special teams and Schneider, the coach of the 49ers special team, got everything that he wanted. And, the special teams has looked better in certain aspects, right? So compared to last year, the 49ers are starting, are forcing opposing teams' drives to start farther than where they were the season before, right? So they're doing much better in kickoff protection and punt protection to make sure that teams are starting farther than they did last year. I think last year the average starting position for opposing teams was on the 29.5-yard line. This year they've pushed that back to their own 27.5-yard line. So they are doing better, forcing teams to start drives farther on average than they did the year before, which is obviously a big plus, especially with the way that this defense is playing. However, the 49ers special teams has been shaky in other aspects of the special team. Ray McLeod, for everything that we've been told about him, I do believe in him, and I do think that he is upgrade over what we've seen. However, we haven't necessarily seen that come into action, right? So the 49ers starting field position this year is actually a little bit worse this year than it was last year. So that is something that we need to start seeing some, I guess, progress in, because that's one of the reasons why we went out and got all the people that we got to upgrade this special teams, right? So starting field position is something that I want to see get a little bit better. We still haven't seen that break in there. But the biggest thing of the special teams is the special teams has been shaky. And luckily, the 49ers have been able to get away with it. But we don't want to push our luck when it comes to that. Last game, Ray McCloud had a muff punt. Luckily, it wasn't a turnover, but it could have been something that definitely shifted the momentum in the game for the Rams if they did end up recovering that muff punt that Ray McCloud had. Maybe that, if they're able to punch in a shorter yard drive and get a touchdown, which, definitely with the way the defense have played may not have been likely, but definitely a possibility. You don't want to shift momentum to a team that is lacking it, right? So that is something that we need to make sure is cleaned up. And Ray McCloud is known for having a fumbling issue, right? So are we going to see that cleaned up? Or is it just going to be the boomer bust type play with a guy like Ray McCloud? But another aspect of the special teams that we do need to shore up is the field goal unit. We've already seen against Seattle a blocked field goal that led to a touchdown. Obviously, that game wasn't close, so it didn't end up really affecting the overall scheme of things. But last week, we saw Robbie Gould miss a very makeable field goal and miss it, right? That is something that we're not used to with Robbie Gould. He's usually pretty automatic, especially with field goals under 40 yards. But it didn't affect us last week because, the defense was able to get a pick six and end up, really closing that game out for us. But like I said, we're not looking for just one-off victories. We are looking for a team to get better week after week so that by the end of the season, we are in full form and one of the most dominant teams to really contend for a Super Bowl. And I'm looking at the special teams and still seeing some cracks in the armor, some things that can lead to challenges in the future, right? If there are close games and Robbie Gould is missing field goals, that is something that could ultimately end up in a loss. If we're in close games and Ray McCloud is fumbling the ball, that is something that could lead to a frustrating loss. So we have to I have to see, and I'm sure the faithful as fans need to see the special teams shore up, right? There was a lot of big talk about this special teams getting all the talent, and obviously, like we mentioned earlier, there was a concerted effort to upgrade. I don't want to, totally say that there hasn't been upgrades. Definitely, like Harold mentioned here. Let me see where that comment is. Oh, it was Frank. I'm sorry. Frank said we paid Wisnowski and the kicking immediately got better. Absolutely true, right? The 49ers are pitting opposing offenses back further than they were last season, which is a definite upgrade. Obviously Wisnowski gets some credit with that, but these gunners have been amazing with their ability to pin the ball back deep. That has definitely been an upgrade, but we need to see the progression in the return game, and we need to see the kicking game or the field goal unit start getting back to being just automatic, right? No more block pump field goals, no more, missing field goals, especially makeable field goals. We need to see that be just like automatic, where Kyle Shanahan doesn't need to like make a decision whether or not he should put in the field goal unit for automatic points or, have to go for it because there isn't confidence in that field goal unit. So definitely need to see that special teams shore up. Harold Morrell, the fumbles are red flag. Absolutely, right? Something that's extremely important. We need to see ball security and make sure that the special teams doesn't add to that second point that we were making as far as the turnover differential. We need to make sure that the special teams are a net positive and aren't taking away from the 49ers' ability to be victorious. Frank saying the defense tends to bend but not break between the 20s. But once inside the 20, the pass defense and pass rush becomes stifling. The secondary is finally rounding into form. Absolutely. You know, this is the number one ranked defense. We have the sack leader on this defense, and Nick Bosa with his 6 sacks leading the league. With that, Talanoa Hufanga is, as of now, looking like an all-pro safety. Excuse me. He has, 2 interceptions this season, one that he ran back for a touchdown. Mooney Ward and Emmanuel Mosley have been, lockdown guys, haven't really had, opposing offenses show them too much. They've been playing really, really strong. Whomever is jumping in at that slot corner, whether it's Diamador Lenore, who stepped up lately, or Samuel Womack, that seems to not be an issue. And obviously we have one of the best linebacking cores in the game. And not to mention, Jimmy Ward is, back on the practice field. We'll see if he gets some playing time this week. And there's a guy by the name of Jason Verrett who's hanging out in just getting healthy on the sidelines as well, that, we know if he's anything close to 100% is, one of the best top corners in the league as well. So a lot to look forward to off of that defense. I agree with you, Frank. This will be a historic defense barring injury, right? And, it's not like this defense doesn't have injuries. Kinlaw's out. Armstead has been in and out. Ward still hasn't played, and this defense still is the number one defense in the league. So with these guys coming back, with the depth that this front office has put together on this defense, I imagine this defense definitely being top 5 and could definitely finish off the best defense in the league and continue the way that they are moving forward. So, guys, that's pretty much my show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, this game should be a dub for the 49ers, but these games still are very important to see what way the 49ers are going on. Is this going to be a dominant victory because the offense is maintaining scoring points in the first half and going closer to the 17 points they're averaging in their wins in the first half versus their 7 points that they're averaging in their losses in the first half? Are they going to keep the turnover battle strong in their favor? Plus 2.5 in their victories, -2 in their losses. And last but not least, can the special teams shore up their deficiencies? Can Ray McCloud make sure that he's controlling the ball, having that ball security, and being able to get the 49ers offense into better starting position? And can we see Robbie Gould get back to just him being automatic and staying away from the pump blocks and the field goal blocks and the field goal misses that we've seen early in this season? So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Like I always say, stay safe, stay hydrated, enjoy your Sunday. Go Niners.